Construction defects at the Johnson building in Brisbane. Let's have a look. Good evening everyone, Florian Heise here. I hope you've had a good day. I have my nightly coffee before bed, and I thought we'd talk about a building in Brisbane that has been riddled with some defects in the roof. But the issue is here, one of the owners, whose apartment has, well, been rendered uninhabitable, hasn't been able to live there for 2 years. So let's have a look at this article from the ABC. And there's a few interesting things about it that I'll bring up as we go. So Brisbane luxury apartment defect force owner out of home still unlivable 2 years later. 2 years. Okay? And this is when some of the Opal people are getting back in. Just after 7 months. Some are still out, but some are getting back in. A Brisbane unit owner is facing bankruptcy after a serious defect in her new $1.7 million luxury apartment, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage, forcing her family to move out. Okay, and let's have a look at this building. It's in the Johnston building, and we'll just jump over here to it. I'm looking at the image in Google Earth, the Pro version. So we can go up the street. I think this is the old transport building. Department of Transport building. So it's an existing building that they refurbished. You know, you can see they stuck the balconies on there. 1.7 million, guys. 1.7 million. We'll zoom out. I've got 3D buildings on. So it's up in Spring Hill. Up here, and you've got, you know, the CBD of Brisbane here. I'm going to turn 3D buildings off. So it's up here, and this is the CBD in the city. Right here. You know, QUT there, the park there, Central Station in the middle, Roma Park Station there. So $1.7 million, guys. I'm still shocked. So here you go. You know, you can rent them from $450 a week, 2 bedrooms from $520. Let's have a look at some of the plans in the building just to get a feel. 1.7. It would have to be, you know, it would have to be the biggest one, wouldn't it? One of the penthouses. Let's keep going. There's a 2-bedder, another 2-bedder. No cross ventilation. At least that you'd probably hopefully be able to open up those windows. I doubt it though. Another 2-bedder. Another 2-bedder. A 2-bedder can't go for 1.7. It has to be a different one. Please tell me that. Please tell me it has to be a different one. So yeah, that'll give us a bit of an understanding of the building and how they, you know, it's an existing building that was refurbished and converted over, which is a sensible use. Because the government here in Queensland, you know, they've gotten out of the super tower they built. They can decant out of these buildings and more people can live close to the city. You can walk to work. It's not a bad idea. It's not for me, but... So, it is one of the latest cases to emerge on a growing list of faulty apartments as national and state authorities grapple with how to manage the issue. Louisa Carter purchased a new 4-bedroom sub-penthouse. Oh, good, I'm glad. In the Johnson apartment tower in inner-city Brisbane in 2017. I'm glad it's a 4-bedder at least, but still 1.7 million, wow. And she's an architect, so I want to know what her husband does, because I'm doing the wrong type of architecture thing. I can't afford a $1.7 million apartment. The former Department of Transport building in Spring Hill was transformed into an art series hotel and residential complex by developer and Melbourne-based Asian Pacific Group, now known as the Deeg Group. But Dr. Carter said her roof began leaking just days after she and her family moved into the apartment. So just days after they had roof leaks, which is not surprising. That's a common issue on buildings. In the first big storm, suddenly there was water pouring into the main bedroom, she said. Her apartment was overtaken by mold. And that's here in you know, we're in a subtropical climate here in Queensland. When it rains, it rains a lot. So you have to design for that, and your gutter sizing. And you know, we can't see. I'm just bringing up this Google Earth again. Let's see what we can have a look from the roof. That looks like a parapet around the edge, doesn't it? Hiding the gutter of the building. And we'll see if we can see it from the street. Because that would tell me that it may... Okay, we can't see it from here. But my instincts would tell me there might be a box cutter up there or something. You know, we saw what happened with those at the lofts at Zetland. So, and I mean, it's got nice views, big doors. So, despite lodging a series of complaints, more than 2 years later, the defects are yet to be fully rectified. Yet to be fully rectified. She said her apartment was still awaiting a refit after being partially gutted because of the water damage. This is a state heritage listed property. It's meant to be kept for future generations, she said. It's a heritage listed property. Let's look at it again. Okay, this is heritage listed. I guess it may have some historic significance. You know, there's a architectural brutalist box that was modified, and yet they demolished the Neville Bonner building, which is, you know, I thought much more memorable for a casino. But you know, that's what happens. That's what happens. I can see the advantage of keeping historical buildings, but I kind of prefer that being done by, I don't know what's happening there, that being done by the, you know, other methods than taking people's rights away from the building. But it's a government building, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So we've got a colander for a roof pouring water down through the concrete. So they're caught in a stalemate. Dr. Carter said she first raised issues with the developer and her body corporate, and also complained to Queensland Building and Construction Commission, the QBCC. The QBCC ordered construction company Maxcon to fix the leak, and later closed the case file after some works were carried out. But she's still not living in her apartment. But the body corporate's insurance company recently found there were still building defects issued with the property. Still building defect issues with the property, and while it was willing to pay thousands of dollars to refurbish the unit, it would not authorize work until the issues were resolved. So she's got a unit there, and the issue, you know, there's still other issues, other defects in the building. I'm assuming those defects are in the roof, or you'd hope they would only say, oh, well, you know, these defects may lead to future damage, so we're not putting it in. After complaining to the Office of Fair Trading that her unit was not fit for purpose, Dr. Carter was told the matter was classified as a warranty issue, suggesting she could take civil action in court. She said she had been left thousands of dollars out of pocket after renting another property. We're in limbo, she said. So, Dr. Carter is now set to pursue Maxcon Construction for compensation via a referral for the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal to the Supreme Court. She's also raising the matter with Queensland Housing Minister Mick de Brenny. Water damage has been reported in at least one other apartment on the same level. Last week, state and territory ministers held emergency talks in response to a wave of similar problems across the country, including defective buildings and flammable cladding. Dr. Carter said developers should not be allowed voting rights on the body corporate in the first year to give new owners greater power. There you go. And that's an important point. We'll get back to that. That's just ludicrous. That's the year you're finding out what's wrong with the building, she said. Yeah, it's the defects liability period of the building. It's the period during which you should be holding on to either a bank guarantee or retention from the builder's money they've been paid to do the work to rectify any issues if they don't do it. For this, you just get them coming back. You shouldn't have to go... Well, it depends when the work was done. She bought it in 2017. Yeah, it's 2019. It was reported earlier. It still should have been during the defects period. That's just ludicrous. Yeah, we're going back to that. My issue is, as an individual unit owner, I don't have any control over the common lot, the roof. So she's caught. So there you go. When approached by ABC News, a lawyer acting for Maxcon Constructions said the company complied with all of its legal obligations in this matter, including rectifying the water leak, and suggested third parties may have caused or contributed to the problem. Okay, so it can get really messy in these situations. A lawyer for the Deeg Group said it was not appropriate to comment because of the proceedings lodged with QCAT, but denied Dr. Carter's claims and said Diageo Group, I'm butchering that name, I'll just call it D, stood by its products and accepted its responsibilities. Mr. Debreni declined to comment. A spokesman for the QBCC said a guttering issue was rectified by the builder, but any further concerns would need to be lodged by the body corporate. Boom, there's the issue. The QBCC understands that Dr. Carter has further concerns about the roof of this building, the spokesman said. Due to the ownership structure of the building and because the roof is considered common property, the QBCC would need to receive a complaint from the body corporate in order for the Commission to legally carry out an inspection and investigation into the roof of the building. At this stage, the QBCC has not received a complaint from the body corporate, but will continue to provide advice to Dr. Carter on the options available to her. So, what's the issue here? The issue here is if the developer has a seat on the Strata Council body corporate, they can influence what the body corporate does. They may not report defects. They may not want to increase the insurance premiums. Could be a lot of issues. Now, I've got a suggestion. I've got a suggestion for this. I'll make a new page here. I've got a suggestion. Now, what you normally have, or what we used to have in a construction process, so you'd have your Mr. Developer, call him Dev, and then you go here, and you'd have the builder. We'll call him Bob. I'm trying to draw with my mouse. Okay, I'm an architect. I use Rivet and draw with other things, not with a mouse like this, so forgive me. But you see what I mean. You know, developer and Bob, you've got a relationship between the two. Now, during the construction process, in a traditional procurement process, which is hardly ever followed anymore, you have an impartial body in between. And that used to be the architect. And we'll call him or her Arch. Now, every month, Bob would send a request for payment to Arch, and Arch would review that request. They'd look at it with a dodgy eye. Oh boy, this is terrible. Dodgy eye, they'd look at the request, and they'd go, yes, you've done that work. No, you're charging a bit more. You've actually done a bit more there than you've claimed, and they'd give an adjusted payment claim. Okay, so we're approving you to receive this much monies. Then Bob would take that payment claim with a signed form from the architect and send that to the developer for claim of payment. Then Mr. Developer, with that claim, has to make that payment to the builder. Okay, that's the process. Now, if there are any issues in the job, and this can go either way, maybe the builder's trying to claim too much, so the architect has to go and assess it, but you have to act as an impartial body. You can't make all your claims in favor of your client, the developer. You can't make them always in favor of Bob the builder. It just depends on the circumstance. You have to act impartial because you're a professional. You're covered by the Act. Now, architects, we can't get kickbacks. I met people in real estate, people in other games, and they could get like all these bonuses and commissions. Like your real estate agent will recommend their friend here that will help you out. They're getting a kickback for that. When I first encountered this, when I had friends telling me this, I was flabbergasted because we couldn't get anything. It's not like I can recommend, Caroma fixtures or fittings here and then get a kickback. Maybe the most we'll get is a trade lunch where they come and teach us about their products so we meet our CPD. Where interior designers, they will specify all the furniture on a job and they'll get a commission on that. And that's allowed. That's allowed because they're not a profession. They're not covered in the Act. That's, in some ways, a professional has to act differently. You have to act in the best interest of your client. You have to be fair and impartial in this relationship. Okay? Whereas other people don't have to be. There's no act, there's no legislation that they have to sign. Doctors are the same. They've got the Hippocratic Oath, they've got other legislation. Lawyers are the same. So you've got to appreciate that this person is acting impartial. So say we have our 1 year defects liability period, because during that year the architect is, and we'll just move down a bit. During the 1 year defects liability period, okay, we've got a table here which is full of all the different personalities sitting around the body corporate meeting, including, maybe the developer. But I say we need to add an impartial professional to sit on that table and attend all those meetings for that 1 year minimum of the liability period. So that if something is brought up, these people here, due to maybe conflicts of interest, due to maybe wanting to hide things, due to maybe the developer not wanting to upset the builder, due to potential risks of collusion, you've got the architect there. You pay him hourly rate, $300 an hour, if that, maybe even less for this work. It's boring. But you have an impartial professional there during that period attending those meetings to protect the interests of the final buyers as well, and the relationship, and the builder and the developer acting impartially there. So you don't have this situation where, okay, she's had to get to the point where she's had to go to the QBCC. It shouldn't get to that. If it's reported during the defects liability period, there's money set aside under a construction contract. There's money held in reserve to address these issues. And if the builder, the original builder, if MaxCon doesn't want to do it, you get someone else in to rectify it. If there are other issues as well in the building, they all have to be rectified. That's part of the process. I think it comes down to as well the way the building was procured. Was this a design and construct project? I don't know. I'd probably bet a carton it was. And I've got the MaxCon website here, and we'll just let me bring that up, and we'll have a look just at one little thing here. Personal guarantee. Each project which MaxCon completes is not only always to the satisfaction of its clients, but additionally results in the clients admiring the quality of building processes and products which MaxCon boasts. Yep. Okay. Sounds good. But, so, yeah. I mean, it may not be their fault. It may not be MaxCon's fault. It could have been other people went up there and damaged the roof. That's the thing. If you don't, what if the body corporate did some work up there and caused some damage? What if it wasn't procured in a proper way? What if there wasn't a proper contract? What if the tradie or person who went up there, let's say maybe air conditioning, what if they weren't insured properly? What if it was a cash deal with a mate? Okay? These type of things happen. It gets messy. These body corporates are interesting organisms. Interesting personalities get attracted to these little groups. Anyway, guys, just some speculation. I feel sorry for this lady. I really do. It's a harsh position to be in. It really is. I wish her all the best. I hope her and her family get to live in that space. Anyway, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Send me other examples of buildings like this around the country. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.